Serious game developers of Reddit, what are your horror stories? Procrastination so scary it only needed one word. I'm a hobbyist game dev, so I don't really have horror stories about it, but I'd like to recommend two great documentaries about the subject. Indie Game: The movie follows the journey of indie game developers, each with their own horror stories. Playing Hard follows a bigger production, the creation of For Honor by Ubisoft. It gives an interesting view of the risks of creating a new AAA license. The story of the guy who made Manic Miner always blows my mind. Didn't he turn up in a Dutch convent planting tulips at one point? I highly suggest you read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels also. It's a very good representation of the industry. I've been reading that one with my brother. As an aspiring game dev, it's both insightful and horrifying. I was involved in developing and designing a card game. Everything was going well. Finished the system for how Gamma Play would function, and set the card layouts. The intellectual property holders were a couple that did most of the art, based on their graphic novel. The IP holders break up halfway through completion. We had already hired on a third artist to do filler, but the workload doubled for them as the original two would not commit to anything anymore. Almost didn't get a final print run or release due to their relationship problems. Do what your dreams tell you before you seek companionship. My computer crashed after I created a level and I forgot to save. For the ignorant like myself about how long does creating a level take? How much work did you lose? Depends on what kind of game you're creating. 2D level based platformer with a good level, or you can get that done and tested in an hour or two. 3D external environment that can take days or more of work if the thing is big enough. Could be anywhere from a few hours to a few days or longer. Depends on the dev's experience and how fast they work. Tell me about how this works with version control. I'm interested in knowing whether I can automatically checkpoint levels under development, so a crash means losing maybe 10 minutes of changes. Setting up autosave intervals is useful for this. You should look up the book Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which is a series of war stories about game development. I was writing a script. I ran the game and ended up with an error. I could not find the error anywhere, but about a week or so later, I found out that a statement I wrote just needed a semicolon at the end. Mostly just the constant churn of working late hours and alienating the wife. The secret is not to have a life. Waits for the Bioware devs to show up. Their story isn't much different than quite a few others in the game industry, sadly. They are too busy working to come here. Being assigned a new and exciting project, having countless meetings discussing code structures and whatnot, only to get assigned an old project that needs an overhaul. Bunch of people were driven to McDonald's for lunch, told they'd been let go, and then left there, ice cold. Probably even timed it so that the ice cream machine would be broken too. Like, they couldn't even take these guys out somewhere better for lunch before canning them. I pictured everyone piling out of a car, then the driver rolls down the window and just goes, "Yeah, you're all fired, peace," and drives off. Basically, anyone who ever tried to make a go of Manuscript XNA program is a traumatized mess by now. Bad software, awful support, and Manuscript basically hiding the games on the store. After that, everything was gravy. Even the worst bugs and problems I've seen now seem like nothing compared to struggling with plain bad software. I missed out on XNA, but this sounds a lot like Spark's creators program. I'm not familiar with how XCP works, but after my time with XNA, I wouldn't trust any closed system. Second year game development college student here. First semester of my first year I had to make a game with 4 other people. Nobody knew how to code, so we had to learn and start from scratch. 3 of the other 4 students didn't do anything and all the coding stuff was laid on me. The other team member took most of the documentation for the project. Some days I spent a full day at my college, come home and keep coding till 3 AM, only to wake up at 7 AM for my next class. The only good thing is that I got really good at writing code due to this project. I'm not spoiling my game, so I can't give a genuine comment. Not being able to afford assets cause you have a whopping $5 budget. I'm an indie dev. I'm not currently out with my game yet, but When I was working with Unity something big went wrong and crashed my whole PC, like it would not turn on at all, and it seemed like all hope was lost somehow. Thank the gods, draining the entire battery and letting it charge to full restored it. Unfortunately I lost most of my progress either but I did back up my scripts on a not-zip file. Look into the development of Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda. I mean, I hope this isn't flagged as a joke, but me and my brother started up a Minecraft world on Xbox one time. We walked around for a while looking for a good area to live when we happened across a completely rectangular house. No roof, nothing jutting out, just a box. There were redstone torches around it, and on the inside there was only chests with stacks upon stacks of valuable stuff, like powered rails, diamonds, emeralds, and a whole lot of normal blocks like wood, planks, sticks. Almost all the blocks. Knew it was Herobrine's, and was scared for a while about doing anything with it. Pretty spooky nonetheless. I thought this said gamers, my bad. Lol, all the EA devs be typing something. Well, not solely video game related programming, horror stories in general has what you're looking for. Group project for uni 4-person team working on a flight sim dungeon crawler. We had 2 guys coding, one of whom was building a level on the side. I was doing the art assets because I'm terrible at coding, and we had one other person who was supposed to be working on an extra map. She did basically no work for the entire 10 weeks of development, so I ended up scrambling to build the second map myself so that we actually had a second stage to put in the game.